David Cunliffe.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. To the Prime Minister, does he stand by his statement that there are, quote, plenty of jobs out there for people if they look really hard, close quote?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, yes. For example, there's a Chief of Staff position in the Leader of the Opposition's office, a Senior Advisor's position in the same office, and a Senior TV New Zealand executive position formerly occupied by someone who wants to be a candidate of the Labour Party.
Order. Supplementary question, Honourable David Cunliffe.
It's all in the name of good sport, Mr Speaker. More seriously, will the Prime Minister assure all 125 skilled people losing jobs at Fitzroy Yachts and the 19 skilled tradesmen at 10X Engineering, both in New Plymouth, that they'll find another job in New Plymouth if they look really hard?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, well, the first thing I'd say is that those people live in the part of New Zealand with one of the strongest growth rates and one of the lowest unemployment rates. And that's in principle because this government is supportive of what is driving the local economy there, namely agriculture and also oil and gas exploration. What I would say to those people is that some of the policies that the government has brought in over the course of the last 5 years, like 90-day probationary periods, like reform to our planning process, all of these things will actually help support them find employment. And I say this last thing to those members because I've been to Fitzroy Yachts myself and others, and that is simply this. If they, for one moment, vote for Labor or the Greens, they'll be voting for no jobs and for a low-growth economy.
Order. Supplementary question, Honourable David Cunliffe.
Will the 120 sacked mill workers at Tachikawa Sawmill in Rotorua or the 200 workers sacked at Independent Fisheries in Christchurch be rehired in their community if they look really hard?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Well, Mr Speaker, people make decisions all the time on their employment, but this is one thing that's important. Many of them probably will, but Mr Speaker, firstly, it's very important to understand the following. The labour markets are very dynamic in New Zealand. In any one 3-month period, 100 to 200,000 jobs are lost and 100 to 200,000 jobs are created. Under a national-led government, actually there's been a huge number of jobs being created, which is why we have the 12th lowest unemployment rate out of 34 in the OECD. It's why our unemployment rate is falling and the unemployment rate in Australia is rising. And if anyone wants proof of what happens when you have a Labor-Greens government and what it does to jobs, look in Australia.
Order. That answer is of sufficient length to address the question. Supplementary question.
Thank you, Mr Speaker.
Honourable
to the Prime
David
Minister,
Cunliffe.
given his answer, are women not looking really hard for jobs when there are over 27,000 more women unemployed now than when he became Prime Minister?
Well, Mr Speaker,
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, obviously the world has gone through dramatic change, but actually New Zealand has come through that much stronger than others. As an example, we now have 1,500 people a week going off welfare into work. And Mr Speaker, if the member wants to have a serious conversation about which policies will create jobs and which policies will lose the jobs, then we're more than happy to have that, because those nice people over there who he wants to coalesce with hate jobs, they hate work and they hate growth.
Supplementary question, Honourable David Cunliffe.
Mr Speaker, is he taking economic advice from Colin Craig? And are Maori, quote, not looking really hard for jobs as the Maori unemployment rate has increased by 3% to almost 13% since December 2008?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Well, Mr Speaker, again, I go through the issues that have taken place over the course of the last 5 or 6 years. What I do know is that when this government came in, there were predictions that unemployment would rise to over 10%. In fact, that never occurred. Unemployment topped out at, I think, 7.2 or 7.3. It has been falling. We have the lowest number of people going to Australia in a decade under a national-led government. 1,500 people a week are leaving welfare to work. 66,000 jobs were created over the last 12 months. This government has been pro-jobs and pro-growth. And every time we've stood up to try and do something that would support the workers of New Zealand, the opposition has got up and rejected that. No one, David, is going to believe that you are pro-jobs because, my friend, you are not. You are losing people in your staff like no tomorrow, but you're not.
Order. Supplementary question, Honourable David Cunliffe.
Given that the Prime Minister campaigned on say goodbye to higher taxes, quote unquote, not including GST, not your loved ones, what does he say to the families of the more than 200,000 New Zealanders who have voted with their feet and left the country they love since he became Prime Minister? What does he say to those, or is it just the, quote, dynamic labour market again?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Well, Mr Speaker, the first thing I say to them is that we now have the lowest number of people going to Australia in a decade. That's the first thing. And the second thing I say to them is very simple. I would say to them this. On behalf of the Labour Party, I apologise for signing them up to such a lousy deal.
Order. Point of order, Grant Robertson.
That is the third or fourth answer that the Prime Minister has given where he is purported to speak on behalf of the Labour Party or the Green Party. That is not within standing orders, Mr Speaker, and it will lead to disorder in the House if the Prime Minister continues to do that.
Order. No, I don't need the help. The issue is, to be fair, the question was quite a wide-ranging supplementary question, which had certainly political connotations. It is going to invite a political answer back. Further supplementaries? Point of order, the Honourable Trevor Mallard.
Mr Speaker, I'd just like to draw to your attention, and that just exemplifies the point I was about to make. I had trouble hearing Mr Robertson's point of order because the member sitting next to John Hayes and the member sitting next to Chris Arkinvoll, neither of whom I'm really sure who they are, were both interjecting.
Order. The valid part of the member's point of order is that there is a high level of noise coming from various parts of this House, and it is to be tempered. Question number 2, Maggie Barry.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Finance. What progress is the government making with its